The cognitive load theory proposes a model of cognitive human architecture that helps explain and predict the allocation of working memory resources and the interaction between working memory and long-term memory to deal with A. Intrinsic cognitive load caused by the intrinsic complexity of information, B. Extraneous cognitive load caused by ineffective presentation of information, and C. Germane cognitive load, effective processing resulting in deeper learning, as stated by Spector in our text, page 57. It can also be defined in relation to its temporal dimensions such as instantaneous load, peak, average, accumulated, and overall load. Cognitive load has a strong effect on learning, and much research is being done to formulate strategies and tools to help students maintain an appropriate cognitive load so that the highest level of learning can occur. There are benefits that can be gleaned from an optimal cognitive load, along with issues that can arise with an overloaded cognitive load. As shared by Dr. Holder, if new information is kept to 9 elements or less, the working memory can process the information and then process it into long-term memory that can later be retrieved. In my personal classroom experience, I have observed this to be true as my Spanish students were able to learn and recall grammar rules if I broke down the rules into sections and then gave them learning opportunities to process and apply them. If I had simply lectured and taught all of the chapter grammar rules at once over 9 elements, my students would have been lost when it came time to do their practical application. If the cognitive load is limited to 9 or less elements and the extraneous load distractions are limited, much learning can take place. If the extraneous load is not limited, such as having middle schoolers released for their first lunch and walk noisily down the hallway while their peers with second lunch are taking a test, optimal learning cannot be reached. This principle is also seen in the biblical example found in Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42, when Martha is overloaded with work and questions Mary's lack of help before Jesus, only to have Jesus tell her that Mary has chosen to focus on what was important. Martha could not engage in the learning because her extraneous load was going overtime, whereas Mary had an optimal cognitive load that allowed her to focus and glean from Jesus.